Yeah, so thank you for the lovely introduction, and thanks, Stan, for the praise. No pressure at all. Um, so I hope you're all re-energized, had a bit of caffeine, so let's just start off, because before that caffeine wears off. Now, 5.5 years ago, I started my job at VodafoneZiggo, here in the head office in Utrecht, in the Netherlands. And I was approached by my current colleague on LinkedIn. And he told me that he succeeded in putting CRO on the map over the last 2 years, and that they were ready for a next step. Actually, quite a big step. Because in this reorganization, many more CRO specialists would be recruited, and a center of excellence would be created. Now, the CRO people would then work in various teams, and then the CRO Center of Excellence would then be responsible for the CRO strategy, for the knowledge and skills of the people working in the teams, for the CRO process, and actually really our main goal was to make sure that VodafoneZiggo would get this experimental mindset and run more experiments. And he was thinking of me to fill in that spot next to him in that Center of Excellence. If I would be interested. Well, duh. Because in the Netherlands, there are not that many companies that take CRO this seriously. And also because the role was new, there was still a lot of room for my own input and my own vision. So as you might imagine, like that first day when I stepped foot in that office, I was full of energy and determination to make VodafoneZiggo like the new Booking.com or Amazon and run thousands of experiments. A girl can dream, right? Now, as I mentioned, my colleague had already done a great job. In the first years, and that was already back in 2017, they were able to run 41 experiments with 2 CRO specialists. In the year after, that number already almost doubled to 71 with 4 CRO specialists. So as I mentioned, in that reorganization, we actually got 9 new CRO positions, which meant we had 11 people working in the various teams and 2 people in that Center of Excellence. Anyone wants to take a guess how many tests we have run in 2019? Shout a number. Thank you. 200, yeah. Well, it was 117. So with 9 more people, we only managed to get 46 more experiments. Yeah, that was crappy. You could say we're doing like a really shitty job in attracting the right people. Like we should have a talk with HR. It's like, what kind of people did you give me? This is crap. But yeah, of course, we had a reorganization. Teams were new, so they needed to learn to collaborate. We hired 4 junior specialists, so they still needed to be trained and learn the ropes of CRO. So in that sense, yeah, it was also not that surprising, but still, it was far away from the uplift we had ever hoped for. So what's the reason for this? Well, as you might know, VodafoneZiggo in the Netherlands is a merger between Vodafone, which is mobile subscriptions, and Ziggo, which is fixed internet. It's a very large corporate organization with over 8,000 employees. It has a lot of legacy because of different mergers. There are a lot of silos. And let's face it, people that are really set in their ways and their working methods. They have been working for VodafoneZiggo for more than a decade. So there are different forces at play than, for instance, if you work at a small startup or a company where CRO has been part of the working method from the start, like a Booking.com. What we realized is that we not only needed like more CRO specialists, that was not the answer to get a more data-driven company, but we needed to get everyone on board, thinking and really believing in the power of experimentation. And I think a great example of that is what we saw last June in Hamburg with the Dutch soccer fans. We needed the snollebolletjes. Because in Hamburg, there was like a massive energy and force. Everybody wanted to go the same way, from left to right. So that was great energy. And we needed that within VodafoneZiggo, get everybody on board and wanting the same thing. And in order to accomplish that, I'm sorry to say, but we need to get away from our laptops. We need to get away from our comfortable spreadsheets and get out there in the real world and start acting like a product marketeer. I know, scary word. And product marketing, it is the communication about the product. It is all about how to stimulate demand for your product. And that is what we want. We want to increase the number of experiments. We want to increase the demand for CRO. Now, the first thing you need to get right is to determine your value proposition. Like, why should your colleagues care about running more experiments? So this was actually always the slide that we showed to our stakeholders to communicate the importance of A/B testing. We would ask a stakeholder, like, how many of your test ideas are actually good ideas? Of course, they would answer, all of them. Otherwise, I wouldn't have suggested them. They really believe that every change that they want, every idea that they have for a change on the website is a change for the better. But then we bring in the bad news and tell them, well, yeah, we've seen in research and also from the experiments that we've done over the last years is that only 30% of your ideas are actually good. They drive value. 50% doesn't even move the needle. Those are inconclusive. And 20% is actually counterproductive. Now, this revelation can go either one or two ways. Like some stakeholders will decide to double down on a number of experiments and really try to find out which are the 30% that is actually driving value. But it can also be very counterproductive. Because, well, stakeholders most of the time don't really like it when you tell them that they're doing it all wrong. Because that's basically what we're doing. We're telling our stakeholders, you suck at your job. Yeah, that doesn't feel very comfortable. It hurts our egos. And yeah, when someone tells us that, it's like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to just do whatever I've been doing over the last decade at VodafoneZiggo. You and your experiments can, I won't swear. So this is not the way to go. But how should you talk to your stakeholders instead then? Who knows who this guy is? Shout. Is that guy from Blacklist? Yeah, it is the guy from Blacklist, but he's also in a different series. Exactly. He's the medical director of a series called New Amsterdam. And his leadership style is actually quite different from what normally happens. So he's not telling his staff just to do whatever he wants, really forcing changes, but it's far more collaborative. And maybe you know as well, like Max Goodwin, he has a catchphrase. Do you know what it is? Exactly. How can I help? And I believe that we should ask this question far more often to our stakeholders. Instead of telling our stakeholders that they're doing it all wrong and that they start to do more experiments, we should ask them questions like, what are you working on? What's your ultimate goal? And then also, how can CRO help with that? So instead of having this sense of, okay, we're going to tell our stakeholders do it all wrong. No, we're going to tell them they're already doing a decent job, but with the help of CRO, they can do even better. And this is far more, this approach creates far more trust and really sets CRO more as an enabler for success, rather than a tool for critique. One of the slides that has helped us internally to communicate this is this one. So yay, I have a graph. So what you see here on the horizontal axis is 100 ideas. So let's say You have 100 ideas, you don't test anything, and just put everything live. Well, you know 30% is going to be a winner, 50% doesn't move the needle, 20% is going to be counterproductive. And let's say you have a conversion rate of 2%. Now, every winning or losing test, what we've seen in research, is about between 2 and 5% uplift or drop. So over time, you will increase your growth rate. Your conversion rate will go up. You're doing okay as a business. You're growing. Pat on the back. You're already growing. That's good. But you can do even better. Like if you were only to test 20% of your ideas, your growth rate will already, oh, too quick. Never mind. Will already almost double. But as you can see, there are still some drops in the graph, so you're still implementing some of the losing ideas and spend resources on tests that actually don't drive any value at all. But if you were to test all the ideas and only implement the winning ideas, then your growth rate will be more than 150%. So that's clearly what our value proposition is of CRO. With the help of CRO, you and your company can grow faster and quicker by actually running more experiments. Now, the second aspect of product marketing is you need to promote your way of working. Because if your stakeholders don't know about the possibility of A/B testing, they won't increase the number of experiments. It's just with a new product launch. You cannot just show one commercial and then expect that sales will go through the roof. You need the so-called mere exposure effect. This is also what we have learned the hard way. Like when we had this reorganization in 2019, the first thing we did, we gave inspiration sessions to all the teams. Why we should A/B test and yeah, that's really the way forward. Everybody was enthusiastic. A month later, nothing happened. It's like, it's not enough. So this mere exposure effect says that if you come in contact with something more often, then you will automatically like it more. And when you like it more, they're more inclined to act on it. So one of the recurrent things that we do within VodafoneZiggo is a guess the A/B test. So every week we have a weekly demo, or stand-up, whatever you want to call it, for our entire marketing and product department. And we just briefly show an hypothesis, a test that we have done, and we let the audience guess. Because of time's sake, I won't let you guess, so relax. But what we see, of course, is that only 30% of the time B will be a winner. Most of the time, it's inconclusive, or it's a loser. In this case, it's a loser. So this, time and time again, shows that we are actually very bad at predicting what will happen. It gets a lot of interaction and a lot of buzz within the team. Like, oh, I didn't think that. Maybe I should think of something else the next time I'm doing this campaign. So it really shows that we need A/B testing for better decision making. Now, we cannot show every test in this weekly demo. That would simply be overkill. But we do need to communicate the results of our experiments to our stakeholders. And this is usually done by email, right? Emails, they used to look like this. Like walls of text. Because as CRO specialists and analysts, we love the nitty-gritty of all the analysis that we do, about all the cool insights that we have found, and we want to share everything. Your stakeholder probably couldn't care less. Sorry to say that, but probably is. Because he or she will only be interested in, is it a winner or not? Do I need to implement this or not? What is my next action? Or what did we learn from it? And those details are in there somewhere, but this is a classic case of too long didn't read. It's just with advertisement. Your advertisement must stand out. It must be attractive, especially because we already receive so many emails that this becomes just a blur of text. people will not read this. So we reformatted this as a more visual one-pager. So now stakeholders, when they open up their email, they can immediately see whether it's a winner, a loser, or inconclusive. They can see the main impact on the KPIs that we're trying to influence. And of course, we still need some text, but we have formatted in a more structured way. So also that mere exposure effect, that it's always the same way we present it. So that also really helps in how we communicate our test results. We also send out a monthly update report to the entire organization. And we have used the same kind of format for that. So in this monthly update, we want to share with our stakeholders like how many tests we have done over the last month, the number of tests per team, always good for a bit nice competition, and we share some like 3 main experiments that we want to showcase. Now, as you can see, this is formatted as an infographic, also because it stands out more. And we don't put it in an attachment. They don't need to download anything. No, this is immediately in their preview pane, so they can immediately start scrolling and reading through the report. And the feedback has actually been fantastic. Colleagues proactively email me, like, this is a really cool layout, thank you. And the perfect one was, could we also be on the mailing list? Like, they proactively are asking to be emailed. Never had that before. And I think a couple months back, we got this one. This is one of my favorite emails. I love seeing these examples. Of course, this is feedback that is lovely to get from basically anyone. But this one came from our Chief Commercial Officer. So this also really shows that if you can find a way to stand out from that bunch of emails your higher management already receives, this can really work and can really get that communication with your higher management. Now, promotion for CRO is not just internal, also external. We participate in a lot of industry award shows. Of course, it is a nice ego boost. And we love to hear that we're doing something good. But it also really helps with increasing the buy-in in your organization. Awards boost your credibility internally. So even if you're just awarded and you didn't win anything, that already shows that what you are doing is something good. You are award-winningly good. So they should listen to you, right? And do this more often. And actually, the same applies for what I'm doing right now, presenting at conferences about the way we work. We use this internally to show that we were invited by the leading analytics conference in Germany. So that's great validation. So that helps with the buy-in. And also one unexpected benefit is that it actually massively helps with recruiting. We increasingly see in application letters that he or she would love to work at VodafoneZiggo because we are known for giving CRO a high priority. So just by putting yourself out there, you are actually getting the people in that have that experimental mindset. So that also helps in the longer run to really get this culture of experimentation within your company. Now, in addition to a good value proposition and promotion of your CRO program, it's also important to work on your production process. Because if all of your colleagues want to run experiments, but you cannot deliver them, well, that's also not ideal. So you need to make sure that it becomes as easy and as clear as possible to run more experiments. So this is the time you can go back to your laptop, open your spreadsheets, and start nerding out. So one of the first things we did is to get an overview of all the tests we are doing within VodafoneZiggo. Because especially when CROs are working across the company in various teams, we still needed to get one central overview of all the tests we are doing, on which which stage all those experiments are, and we've chosen Airtable for that. So within Airtable, of every test, we store like on which page did it run, what did it look like, what was the start date, end date, what were the results, what were the learnings, next actions, etc. So it's a very valuable source of data and insights. Only one of the downsides, at least for us it is, because we don't have an unlimited license with Airtable, that we are just limited in the amount of people we can get access to this tool. And you have these shareable views, but that's one of the perks of working for a nice corporate organization that didn't pass our security audit. So yeah, that was a bit of a bummer. But luckily, Airtable also has an API. And with this API, all the information that is stored within Airtable, we actually send that to BigQuery overnight. And then on top of BigQuery, we can build Looker Studio dashboards. And Looker Studio is something that is being used by all of our stakeholders already. So they already know how to use this. It's not yet another tool they need to learn, they need to open. No, they just go to this dashboard, where they can easily filter on their team, on the winners, on a certain page, and find the learnings and next actions over there. So this makes it far more easier to share all the learnings that you've gathered. But when the demand for A/B testing increases, what happens is that the demand for development resources increases. And I don't know about you, but we always have too little dev resources. Seem like they're unicorns or something, I don't know. Anyway, so to partly solve this, we actually used the scarce resources that we have to build something in our content management system. Now, with this feature, an editor or a content manager can actually build most of the test variants themselves. They can just copy a block on a page, make the changes in there, or build a whole new feature in the content management system. And then with this checkbox, hide element initially for A/B test, and by getting the test number in there, they can publish the page, and then it will not immediately be shown on the website, but it immediately gets a CSS class of display none. So it is there in the code, but it's not shown. So then, with Optimizely, the tool that we use, is that we can easily go to the CSS editor and just say, display block. That's all. And remove the block that was initially there. So this massively increases, or actually decreases, the demand for development resources and increases our velocity, because it becomes far more easy to set up new experiments. And also, when something is a winner, we can just remove the checkbox, push it live, and it's live for everyone. Now, if you're doing a lot of experiments because you have this in your toolbox, then the next step is the analysis part. And we use, how should I say this without hurting one of our sponsors? No. we don't use the analytics of our testing tool, because most of our KPIs are actually not on the website itself. So for instance, we look at web to call, or how many people churn, or the net sales. And all that information with us is within Google BigQuery. So what we have done is that we build an automation where a CRO specialist can actually select the KPIs that their experiment is running on. They can insert the test date, so when did it start, when did it end, and with a push of the button, that information is sent to Google BigQuery, and the results are pasted back in Google Sheets, and now the analyst can immediately see, oh, it's inconclusive. Now, we cannot send this to our stakeholders, because it's a sheet with data they don't understand. So what we need to do is create a PowerPoint, because everything within VodafoneZiggo is a PowerPoint. If it's not in a PowerPoint, it doesn't exist. But this is a lot of repetitive and annoying work, because there's information in Airtable where we have the motivation and the hypothesis and what did it look like, and then here we have our data. But we managed to automate this partly as well. So we have this button, Create PowerPoint. Oh, I love this. And once an analyst clicks on Create PowerPoint, with the help of a Python script, a script starts rolling, and after a few minutes, a CRO specialist gets an email. Hey, your PowerPoint for tests, blah, blah, is successfully generated. See the presentation attached to this email. Slides 1, 3, 5, 4, 5, 6 are pre-filled based on data from Airtable and your Google Sheet. So slides 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are pre-filled. And the CRO specialist then only needs to add the conclusions and next actions to the slides, and maybe add some additional insights that they found with a deep dive. So again, this really helps in increasing the velocity, but because we take away those annoying, repetitive things that we need to do. Now the last, I'm over time. So the last, one of the last things we do is, that was the last point, right? Yeah, okay. So a final example, how we optimized our production process, is that we really invested time in building a community with our CRO specialists. And that's especially important because they work throughout the organization in different teams. And to make sure that they don't get stuck somewhere in the process and they know how to find each other, we created a Microsoft Teams channel. And in this channel, they can just share interesting content or share cool examples of using ChatGPT, how to work even more efficiently, a request for feedback on an analysis. But as you can see, we also have this epic fails and wins. And what we do there, actually, we don't even share wins. We only are sharing fails in there. So we are sharing all the things that went wrong with setting up an A/B test. For instance, yeah, crap, I put 100% in B. Whoops. Or, yeah, targeting was not great. I forgot a couple of measurements. I really thought it helped. It was really crappy. But this really helps to show that not everything will go smoothly. You will make mistakes along the way. But that's fine, as long as you learn from it. Because this creates a culture that it is okay to be proven wrong. And we take this even one step further. Every year, we have an annual fail party, where we share all the fails that we did. We have it on a board. When the board is full, we can have a party. And then we are gonna curate, like, who has the best fail of the year. And look at Simona there at the top. She's really, really proud of her glorious mistake. It's not something to feel ashamed of. No, we celebrate this. And we want this for the entire company, right? That it is okay to be proven wrong. You and your company will grow because of it. Because what we have seen after 2019, once we start doing this, the number of experiments has grown steadily year after year. We're now at around 300 experiments. Of course, we're still not at the levels of a Booking.com, but we believe that we are steering the ship in the right direction. So, do you also want to grow your CRO program? Treat it like a product. Determine the value proposition. Be like Max and start asking questions. How can I help? Make it top of mind by advertising the shit out of it. And optimize the production process so that it becomes as easy as possible to run experiments. Thank you.